There are lots of these third-party renters insurance programs out there. And when you really kind of break down the relationship and you break down the dollars, what we've found is the larger your portfolio is, the less it makes sense to partner with one of these third-party companies. If you have 5 or 10,000 apartment units and every resident is paying a third-party insurance company, $15, $16, $17 a month, it's a lot of money going out the door into the pockets of third-party insurance companies.
Your goal as an operator is to increase your NOI as much as possible, right? There's many other things around those goals that help make that happen. But one of those things is increasing the revenue, right? And you're always looking for ways to do that. How creative can you be at increasing the income of the property, or through different amenities or things that tenants want, right? That improve their stay, right? Improve their quality of life while at your property. So one way this is being done that I've not heard of before until today, you're going to have to listen to the show to figure it out. So I'm encouraged by our guest today, Noah Molnar. He helps investors create additional cash flow by turning rental insurance into property revenue streams. So the PopTech group of companies specializes in structuring, forming, and managing specialty insurance programs. The industry is set up so that third-party insurers are set up to profit, but PopTech works with hundreds of multifamily owners to shift their paradigm, allowing the owners to capitalize on the revenue stream. And so when I know a little bit through the interview here, I didn't realize this is how it worked. And so once he started talking about it, I was like, wait a minute, this is not something I've heard of before, and you still may not understand. So I want you to listen to the interview, because if you're an operator, this may be something that could increase the value of your property significantly. If it's something I'm in the process of learning, I want to investigate it myself to see if it's something that would work for us. But I think it's going to open your mind a little bit to some opportunities or options that maybe you've not thought of before. Noah, welcome to the show. I know you have a product that is something that most operators that need to know about. Right. And there's some efficiencies behind this that I know just help the tenants and help us and just the overall operations of finding tenants and having amenities, right, for them and to attract them, and even some of the internal admin stuff. So I want to get into that. But tell us a little bit about what PopTech is, what that does for operators, and let's dive into some of the nuances that maybe the listeners have never heard of before.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, Whitney. So PopTech, we really look at ourselves as an insurance manager. And what we really set out to do is help owner operators be more efficient and more profitable with certain areas of insurance. And what's interesting is, as I'm sure you know, when most operators think of insurance, you do not think of it as a positive to your bottom line. You typically think of it as the opposite. Most of the time, insurance is putting you in the red or hurting the deal, not helping the deal. So we look at it from a slightly different angle. And so our business has always been taking the concept of insurance and identifying particular lines of insurance coverages that are really profitable for third-party insurance companies, and creating programs around taking that revenue stream and shifting it away from a third party and to our clients. And so that's really been our business. Over the past 7 years, the focus has been exclusively in the multifamily, student housing, single family verticals. And it's really been surrounding resident insurance programs.
Yeah. So it's great to clarify that it's resident insurance. It's not like property insurance, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And property insurance can make or break a deal, right? Depending on what that is and different things that, have to be accounted for when thinking about property insurance, and you better have it. But one thing that, it seems like there's so many amenities that may not even be beneficial, right, to your tenants, and people add different things, spend so much time and money in investing in amenities for tenants. And it's like, you look out there or you watch videos, whatever, or cameras from the property. It's like nobody's even using these things, and so like, what good did that do? But this amenity or, having something like this could be a massive benefit. But why don't you speak to that? Speak to some pros of having something like this as an operator, and let's jump in.
Yeah. So when you look at the kind of entire landscape, it's now pretty much standard in the industry to require residents to carry $100,000 of liability coverage or some sort of renter's insurance. And most owner operators are partnered with a third-party insurance provider. Every software company has their own internal resident insurance program. There are lots of these third-party renters insurance programs out there. And when you really kind of break down the relationship and you break down the dollars, what we've found is the larger your portfolio is, the less it makes sense to partner with one of these third-party companies. If you have 5 or 10,000 apartment units and every resident is paying a third-party insurance company, $15, $16, $17 a month, it's a lot of money going out the door into the pockets of third-party insurance companies. And the other issue with that relationship is when it's a third-party insurance company, you lose a lot of control. A lot of losses that you think should be covered are not. There can be a long back and forth in getting claims covered and go through this whole process and be left with nothing. So what we do is a little different than the typical relationship where we actually come into a portfolio. We set them up with their own wholly owned licensed insurance company. And that entire premium income, that $12, $13, $14, $15 a month that was going out the door to someone else, now all goes to our client's insurance company. They cover any of the claims that occur. They control the funds throughout the whole process, but they also earn all of the underwriting profit. And so it's really driving, NOI to the property, and it is giving people more control over their losses.
You've called my attention. I've not heard of this before. Okay. Like, creating my own insurance company to be able to do this, that makes a ton of sense. We do look at other things like that, man. It's like where we have a problem in the business, it's like, okay, how can I fix that problem? And oftentimes it's like, I got to go figure out how to do it myself, or I got to find those experts and just bring them in house. It's like, let's just go figure this thing out. And that's just, I think to be like an entrepreneur, that's just the way you almost have to think that way at most of the time, right? It's like, man, you got to be able to figure those things out. And this is an interesting fix potentially. Instead of bringing in that third party, like you're talking about, you do lose control. It's your own insurance company. And so am I understanding that right? So you're going to help me to build my own insurance company so I own the company that the tenants are paying for the renter's insurance to. Is that correct?
Correct. And so and that can sound scary. Like, hey, wait, I'm in the real estate business. I am not in the insurance business. What do you mean I'm going to have my own insurance company? And so we try to make this as easy and seamless as possible for our clients. And that's really our role in this entire relationship. We have been kind of in this formation and management of insurance companies business for 25 years. As a group, we have formed hundreds of these. And so our role, we come in, we do all of the formation of the insurance company, all of the ongoing management of the insurance company. So all of the various corporate and regulatory filings, all the accounting, claims handling, all of the nitty gritty that goes on behind the scenes is all handled by us. And also all of the administrative services with, training the property management team, doing the policy tracking, setting everything up within the property management software system. So it's really this turnkey solution handled by us, but the insurance company, the bank account, it's all owned and controlled by you. So you're getting this service, but you're earning the upside. And we try to make it as seamless as possible to kind of help you in your operations.
Okay. Well, speak to the operator that is thinking what you said a minute ago. It's like, wait a minute. I don't know if I want to own an insurance company, or maybe they're even thinking, maybe that's a conflict of interest. Me owning the insurance company that's providing the insurance to the tenant that's living in my property. I don't know. What are some things we should be thinking through there, or maybe some answers to common questions around those things?
Yeah, those are great points. And the way that we look at these types of programs, number one, potential conflict issue. We have all third-party claims administrators that handle the reimbursement of claims. And so there is no direct kind of relationship between the owner of the insurance company and the tenant, because of this third-party claims administration that comes kind of standard with all of the programs. In terms of owning your own insurance company, it really comes down to what the scale is of the portfolio to support it. And then so that's a big consideration. Typically our minimum clients to have about 2,000 to 2,500 units within their portfolio for it to make economic sense. And then we have great options where we can kind of slowly get our clients into this program where they can lay off the risk and they can kind of just earn a fee as it's building up. And then when they feel comfortable with the program and the administration and the premium income versus claims, kind of run the full program. So we have a lot of ways to help ease people in, make sure they're comfortable, they get everything that is going on with the insurance company. And then it's, once they get used to it and they see kind of how the dollars flow, it becomes really, really attractive for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. You answered one question of mine about just size of portfolio to really start something like this, or need to make it sense. So 2,000 units roughly. And then what about just the administration side? What kind of burden is that? Is this person or this company going to have to hire numerous people to implement, something like this or manage this? What does that typically look like?
Yeah. And here's, one of what we see as a big issue with just the traditional third-party renters insurance programs out there. So there's varying levels of what groups do. The first thing would be, hey, your lease just has an insurance requirement in your lease with no program in place. And so in that scenario, it is 100% on your property management team to do that administration, to make sure the resident has a policy, to track it, to review it. It becomes a huge pain in the butt for the on-site team. A lot of these third-party programs as well, they're very heavily reliant on the property management team. And we firmly believe that on-site managers have so much going on. The last thing that they should be responsible for is administering your insurance requirement. It's not their best use of their time. And so our kind of program and system that we have in place completely takes this workload off of the property management team. And so it is extremely simple. The way it's implemented, there is a one-page lease addendum that the resident signs. What that lease addendum says is you're required to carry X amount of insurance coverage. And until you provide your own insurance, we are going to enroll you into this program. And we are going to charge you typically $12, $13 a month. So the way that we structure this, every resident is auto-enrolled. There is a charge that's activated on their ledger, and it's all set up within the property management software system to just automatically activate like any other upfront charge. And then the resident has one of two options. Option one is just do nothing. You've met the insurance requirement of the lease. Nothing further is required. Option two, if a resident wants to go and get a State Farm, Geico, Allstate policy, whatever, they are more than welcome to. We have a proprietary policy tracking website. Resident goes to the website, uploads their policy. We review it. We track it. We're the customer service to work with them. And it's completely away from the property management team. But what we typically get, Whitney, is about 80% of residents enrolled into our program versus 20% with third-party policies.
Are you about to start a podcast or producing a podcast and tired of doing the editing yourself? We have produced over 1,000 daily shows, and the production team that I've created, they're now available to produce shows for you as well. We can do as little or as much as you need, from finding and communicating with guests, preparing introductions, to editing the audio and video. You will sound better, have a more professional presence, and be able to spend your time doing other valuable tasks on your business. Let me know you're interested by emailing me directly at whitney@lifebridgecapital.com.
Interesting. So I was going to ask you, can we require tenants to use our own insurance company? But it sounds like you answered it there. Every resident, they're auto-enrolled unless they ultimately show proof that they have it from somewhere else, right?
That's correct. And we think it's better to provide the resident with the option, because you avoid these what are called forced place insurance issues. And so it's very well documented that requiring residents to carry insurance is, standard, is done in pretty much every single state, is just the normal course of operations. But where people can potentially get themselves into trouble, and you've seen it in other industries, not in multifamily. There's been some issues in the lending industry where you're requiring someone to use insurance from a particular insurance carrier. And so our solution is, make it easy, make it simple, make it inexpensive for the resident. But if they want to get their own insurance at any time, they are more than welcome to. And most people, if you provide them that inexpensive, simple, convenient option, they really just want to do what's easiest to get their keys, get into their unit, and know they've met all the requirements of the lease.
Can it go with them when they leave? If they sign up with us and then let's say, they say, we're moving out at the end of our lease, they go to another property, can it go with them? And do we even want it to? So
it's really tied to the property, not the individual resident. So this program just stays at the property. So if that resident leaves, this insurance does not travel with them.
Okay. So it's property specific, more so than say portfolio specific or company specific?
It is really more company specific or portfolio specific. So if, let's say, we set this up for Whitney Investment Company, LLC, and you own, 10,000 apartment units, and you sell a 250 unit property, then that property would leave the program. It would not continue. And so we have notices that go out well in advance that, let the residents know that, your participation in this program ends effective this date, and to please check with your new property management company for what their insurance requirements are and options are. And so the insurance company that we set up, for you is just for your portfolio that you either own, manage, or have some contractual relationship to.
Okay. No, that makes sense. How have you seen operators say promote this to tenants, or so it's successful, or it is the amenity that it is?
There's two kind of main things that I think results in the high participation that we receive. The first is just the simplicity of it. I think for lots of programs, and not just insurance programs, various programs where you're trying to get residents to sign up for something, if they have to go outside of their normal leasing process, or they have to do anything extra, you are going to lose participation. And so since it's this kind of seamlessly built into the leasing process where it's automatically enrolled, most people just kind of default into it. The second thing that I think results in good participation rates, we have lots of different options in how the residents cover their stuff. And so that's, with the renter's insurance policy, there's two components. There is the liability component, and that's what protects, the owner operator's property. And there's the contents coverage. That's what protects the resident's property. And so we have a unique way of doing that where the resident gets to completely customize their contents coverage. And so they get to choose their own limits, their own deductibles, their own payment terms. And so they can make it as expansive, as minimal as they want. And it gives them a lot more flexibility than, if they have to go off the shelf with, some third party insurance company. And so I think it's the ease and simplicity. It's the, inexpensive nature of it, and that it's paid with rent, and the flexibility it provides really results in these high participation rates.
Speak to how it affects the NOI.
Yeah. So if you look at kind of our standard program, the way that the dollars flow, residents that are enrolled will typically pay, call it $13 a month. That $13 a month, our clients have the flexibility to leave whatever portion of that they want at the property level as additional income. So most of our clients will leave, $2, $3, $4 per resident per month just at the property as additional income, and then have the balance ceded to the insurance company as premium. So let's say you leave, $3 at the property level as premium. Then you have $10 per resident per month going to your insurance company. Of the money within that insurance company, a certain amount is going to be administrative costs for running the program. You're going to have a certain amount that are claims expenses for covering claims, but you're probably looking at about $6 of net profit per resident per month to the insurance company. And so now you've built up all of this free capital and reserve within the insurance company. And so you're talking NOI. Okay, first you have the income just left at the property level. Then you have all of this additional income and underwriting profit within the insurance company. It's then up to our clients what they want to do with that excess money. Do they want it to, go back to the property? Do they want to use that insurance company as a new vehicle to lend to a future acquisition, to invest as an insurance company would? And so it opens up all of these really unique opportunities for our clients now that they're sitting on all of this cash reserve within their insurance company to have now this completely new investment vehicle that they did not have before.
It's just an interesting model. So we've talked about renters insurance numerous times on the show, but not anybody that's doing what you're doing. And so it's so unique. I've enjoyed learning about that. What else should I be asking you about this or this model that maybe I haven't thought of yet or wouldn't know to ask you?
The interesting thing for us as a company, so we started this in 2015. Me and my partner, we started it with one client with about 6,500 units. Today, we're about 750,000 units across the country, spread out probably 60 to 70 different portfolios. My favorite thing about Popic, since we started this company 6-7 years ago, we have 100% client retention within our programs. And that's tough to do over any period of time. I think in this industry too, vendor relationships can be fickle. They don't always last forever. And it really just shows the value that we drive to our clients, both economically and administratively, because I don't think you can have one without the other. They need to really be married in order for it to be successful. In a similar kind of thinking and thought process, how familiar are you with kind of security deposit alternative programs and the different sort of options out there?
Somewhat. We've done some different things around security deposits.
Okay. And so it's very similar model. This has been a really hot new product for us. You look at the whole industry, it's been a very hot button topic for the past 2-3 years. It's been this trend. And the trend is in an effort to help residents get into units at a reduced cost without all of these large upfront fees to have some sort of deposit alternative available. And the standard program with a third-party provider, there's some nuances to each of the programs, but effectively, resident pays in lieu of a deposit either a monthly recurring fee or an upfront fee. Both of them are non-refundable. That fee goes to a third-party insurance provider. At the end of the lease, if there are any unpaid balances or excess damage to the unit and property management isn't able to collect, that insurance provider reimburses the property. And it's been really successful marketing for the unit and helping people market their units at these reduced costs. We had a handful of clients a couple of years ago ask us to vet some of these programs for them. And we were able to gather a tremendous amount of loss data both from our clients and in other areas as well. And we were pretty blown away at how low the loss ratios were. And so we see this and it's also one of those things that when there are a lot of groups jumping to get into a specific space from an insurance company perspective, I think there's a reason. Most people don't do things to lose money. They see it as an opportunity. And so we really thought, man, this is a great opportunity to use that same insurance company vehicle that our clients already have, that's already underwriting their resident insurance, to also underwrite the deposit piece. So that, it's very similar model. So that monthly fee, instead of it going to a third party, goes to our client's wholly owned insurance company. At the end of the lease, they cover whatever claims expenses occur, but they earn all of the underwriting profit. Those two main products, the idea is take something that your residents are already paying for. So we're not adding any increased burden on the residents because they're already buying these things. They're just buying them from a third party, and shift where they're buying them from and create this new revenue opportunity.
That right there was a great quote, actually. I was writing that down. Take something that your tenant's already paying for and turn it into some kind of revenue stream, right?
That's yeah.
So smart. Well, no, we're going to jump to a few final questions, and Nick, you can relate it to the business or personal, either way. But what are some of the most important metrics that you track? For us, most important metrics we are tracking, number one is resident participation. And so with our programs, if you only have 20 or 30% of residents participating in your program versus 70 or 80% of residents with third-party policies, then the program is not going to be very profitable. And so we are very, very hands-on in tracking that participation month over month, property by property. If there's a group of properties that are lagging behind for some reason, we'll go in and hold, refresher trainings. And the interesting thing with that, the way we earn income is a percentage of what the residents pay. So we are very vested in the success as well. And so it's this great symbiotic relationship between us and our clients because we have complete, our interests are aligned. So that's one. The other is loss ratios. How much premium income is your insurance company taking in? How much is going out in losses? And if in most scenarios, there's a huge gap. Our historic loss ratio is about 10%. And that shows how profitable these are. So for us, those are the two main metrics that we're really tracking carefully. Yeah, that's awesome. One question I thought of, though, as you were talking about that I meant to ask you was, how long does it take to implement this? Because you were talking about, if there's, 20% of the tenants that are, that are taking part in this, is it a matter of, we got to turn over a majority of the units, before, because we may have required it before, right? But we required some kind of third party. How long does it take to implement this and for it to be profitable?
Yeah, great question. So to start the program, to get the insurance company fully licensed and be ready to go live, it's about a 45-day process. And so while that's taking place, there are two things occurring. You have our team that is forming the insurance company, and then you have our operations team who works with our clients' operations thing to do everything to get the program ready at the property level. So we want to try to line those up. So right as the insurance company is licensed, we're ready to go live. From the day we're going live, it really all depends on what is in your lease today. Do you have an insurance requirement? Do you have some sort of program? Is there any ability to roll residents over from an existing program? But let's say just no. Let's say you don't even require insurance today. It's really going to be a fresh start for new and renewing residents. And so it's about an 18 to 24 month rollout period to hit our participation numbers. So 18 to 24 months, we expect about 75 to 80% of residents enrolled. And then it just stays very stable for the length that they are our client.
Awesome. No, I meant to ask you that earlier. So because that's helpful, right? To think through that. Maybe it's a property that, maybe we have a large portfolio, but there's a number of properties that we're fixing to exit, or, just thinking through, implementing something like that. What are some habits that you are disciplined about that have produced the highest return for you?
For me, I think that's a very, what's interesting, especially in light of COVID over the past, couple of years, and just kind of changing the entire nature of how people work and where they work from. I think the people that were routine driven really excelled, versus the people who were not as routine driven may have floundered or struggled a little bit. And so that's something for me that, even before that, I've always been very strict about kind of following a schedule and following a routine. And without that, I do not perform as well, both professionally, personally, everything. And so, for me, my days kind of start at the same time every day. They typically start with a workout for me in the morning every day that kind of helps me throughout the rest of the day. And that's just something I'm really strict about. And look, with travel schedules, I travel a lot. I have 2 kids under 20 months. Your life throws you a lot of wrenches to knock you off of that. But for me, that's how I'm successful. I keep very detailed, open items, both for, clients and prospective clients. And it's really just following that schedule for me that is able, to make me be successful.
Keeping a routine. Things don't happen randomly typically, right?
No.
I mean, it's like, people are purposeful, right? But it's those daily, consistent actions. Listeners have heard me talk about that so much on the show. It's like, man, what's your routine, right? And how is that going to help you 6 months from now? Whatever you're doing, if you don't even have one, for sure. So appreciate you sharing that. How do you like to give back?
That is a great question. We have always, as a company, been heavily involved with kind of local philanthropy for mostly related to sporting type of endeavors. So me personally, prior to getting into this industry, I played 5 years of professional lacrosse before getting into this space. And so I've always been, very involved in just kind of youth sports and volunteering at kind of local, high school and at the youth level to try to get kids as involved in sports as early as possible. So until I had kids myself, I was, volunteer coaching at the youth level for a long time in different sports. And for me, I don't think there's any way to replicate the professional environment that people get into like sports, and really like team sports, because from early on, you learn what it's like to play on a team, to put the success of the team before your individual success, to maybe not be the best player on that team, but still find a way to contribute and help out towards the overall goal. And I think it really shows for, people when they get into the professional world, if they haven't had that team experience, it can be a difficult transition for them, because all of a sudden you're going from, either, let's say life in college where you are only concerned about yourself and your own well-being, to then working for an organization where you have to put, yourself aside for the overall benefit of the company. And without having that background there, it can be challenging. So that's where I like to spend my efforts.
That's awesome. Noah, I'm grateful for your time and really exposing us to this business model that I've not heard of before. And so I'm grateful for that. And so I want to do some more research myself and learn more.
Please.
And I know the listeners who are operators will want to do the same. And so it's incredible. So tell the listeners though how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the best way to get in touch with me would be by email. My email is N as in Noah. So nmolnar, nmolnar at popicllc.com. That's the best way. Me and my team would love to have some conversations with, whoever out there, and really regardless of kind of your portfolio or your size, please reach out. We have different programs, different options, and we can make something fit for everybody.
Thank you for being a loyal listener of the show. Please subscribe and share it with your friends. We want to help you become the passive investor you've always wanted to become, but also the operator you've always wanted to become. We want to be the number one resource for your real estate investing journey. But go to lifebridgecapital.com where you can start investing in real estate today.